Well, Senator Latvala, thank you for joining us. I want to start with the comical exchange in which the state's emergency management director could not bring himself to say the words climate change. First question, do you really think the governor banned his staff from saying those words?
I don't know. That's kind of the lore around Tallahassee. I couldn't tell you that for sure. I have no firsthand knowledge of that.
In a Latvala administration, to what extent would you ramp up the fight against man-made climate change?
Well, I think we definitely need to pay a little more attention to sea level rise. I think sea level rise is a real problem that we have to face in Florida. Miami Beach is facing it already. We've got places here in Tampa, Davis Island, Tampa General Hospital, where I think that we've got to look and start preparing for the sea level rise that is occurring.
You said that you were dismayed by the governor's decision to kill high-speed rail in Central Florida. If elected governor, would you bring it back?
You know, I don't know. You know, that was 7 years ago. A lot of water under the bridge since then. I am a proponent of mass transit. I think we have to get people out of their cars. Every time I go to Orlando or try to go through Tampa at rush hour to go to Orlando to go through it at rush hour, I wish for some sort of an alternative way of getting there.
So would you fight to resurrect the high-speed rail project?
I don't know whether that project would be specifically the one, or whether there'd be some alternative to it.
The Republican Party has taken an increasingly hardline position on illegal immigration. Do you still stand behind your decision to support tuition discounts for undocumented students in Florida?
What that was for Florida high school graduates who've been residents of Florida for 3 years without regard to their parents' citizenships. What we were doing with the old system was we were punishing kids for what their parents did, and I don't believe in that. In-state and out-of-state tuition were set up originally based on who was a Florida taxpayer and who wasn't. The thought being that since 65% of our tuition is paid for by tax funds, that those who paid Florida taxes should get a break. You know, whether you're a citizen or not, in a sales tax economy, you still pay sales tax. So it's just a matter of equity. It passed overwhelmingly in both houses. The House sponsor was, or the guy pushing for it was Will Weatherford. People like Jeb Bush and Rick Scott were supportive of it. And I have no regrets whatsoever from doing that bill. It was the right thing to do.
On a grading scale, A, B, C, D, or F, what grade would you give President Trump overall so far?
You know, I would say in terms of his intentions on the big issues, I'd give him an A or a B. In terms of, you know, the way he conducts himself personally, his rash comments that he makes from time to time, his tweets, you know, probably a little lower.
A little lower as in C, D, F?
Well, not F, but, you know, at least C.
At least C, maybe D. So a $20 million federal block grant for substance abuse treatment centers expires and blindsides the treatment centers. Representative Peters and others did not see that coming. How can that happen, and who do you blame for that?
Well, obviously, we all voted for the budget, so we all share in the blame for that, and I don't attempt to pass the buck. I know that the Senate proposed to keep that money. It's non-recurring money. So the whole concept of a non-recurring money is that you can't count on it for 1 year to the next. We get grants from the federal government. When they run out, can we keep funding them forever? We get those kind of grants in a lot of different areas. I think it's unfortunate. The Senate tried to put more money in for drug abuse. I'm going to come back, and one way or the other, we're going to get more money for drug abuse. It's epidemic proportions, but you know, it just kind of fell through the cracks.
On the expansion of Medicaid, you pressed hard for a plan to expand health care through government support for people who cannot afford it. If elected governor, would you resume that fight?
We'd have to make that decision when we get there. I mean, I think healthcare is a big concern for a lot of people, but we first of all need to figure out what the feds are going to do with regard to healthcare at a national level. If they abandon Obamacare and all these people that are currently in Obamacare are now without coverage, then obviously that's one set of circumstances. If they continue what we have now, that's another set of circumstances.
Senator Latvala, thank you for your time.